You are unworthy of these realms. You're unworthy of your title. You're unworthy. I now take from you your power. In the name of my father and his father before. I hold it, no father. Cut you out!
Hey, what's happening everyone? Welcome back to another Tuesday comic review. This week we are looking at Thor number 700, which starts the Death of the Mighty Thor storyline. I took a few days after reading this issue before I made this video because the initial gut reaction I had to the book was poor, and probably unfairly so. A little backstory. Jason Aaron, the writer, is the guy who wrote the story about the original Thor becoming unworthy. This led to, spoiler alert, Jane Foster picking up the hammer on the moon and becoming Thor. First, I like Jane Foster's Thor. She's a fun mix-up to the classic god-type hero, and overall she's been a pretty good Thor. I really enjoyed her in the Avengers comics and so on and so forth. But my problem is that, A, Jane Foster has been fighting a very debilitating cancer for a while in the comics. And how did a sickly, cancer-ridden Jane Foster ever get to the moon to pick up Mjolnir? It just doesn't make sense to me. And two, Jason Aaron tried to introduce the idea that the name of Thor was not his name after all, but a mantle that could be passed on. It's as if, someone is named Karen, but Joe manages to get a hold of a piece of Karen's clothing, and now Joe is Karen, and Karen is whatever her mother's name is. And let's be real, no one really buys the concept that Thor isn't his name. We all know it is. So the fact that they tried to make Jane Foster into Thor and no longer Jane Foster unless she wasn't holding the hammer, it just doesn't make any sense. I personally feel that Jane picking up the hammer, while it should have been able to bestow a temporary power of Thor on her, it shouldn't suddenly strip another character of their identity, which is exactly what Jason Aaron did. He stripped Thor of his identity and started calling him the Odinson. Recently, in the Unworthy Thor miniseries, also written by Jason Aaron, the Odinson went on a journey to find himself and to become worthy again, and potentially pick up another Mjolnir that had somehow survived the destruction of the Ultimate Universe. Spoiler alert, we got to the end of that series, and Odinson opted not to pick up the hammer for no good discernible reason, and someone else, Volstagg in this case, came along and picked it up, and it became something called the War Thor, whatever that means. Why do I tell you all this? To let you know basically what the story is before this issue, and to go ahead and let you know that I'm probably a little bit biased going into this. I don't like the idea of Thor being a mantle. To me, Thor is his name, and there is only one Thor. So Thor 700. This whole issue is basically about doubling and tripling down on the idea that Thor is a mantle. Again, I don't like the idea, but I'm going to try to be as objective as I can. The writing is good. Jason Aaron always almost writes a good story. I may not necessarily always like where the story goes or how it ends, but objectively I can acknowledge that he's a good writer. Because this story is about legacy and the mantle of Thor, I found it too meandering for my taste. The book does one of the things that I hate the most that Marvel's been doing recently. It switches artists and tone constantly in the book. Theoretically, it's supposed to serve as an overarching story of the mantle of Thor and how Thor can come and go and take different forms, and how we should all just accept that's how it is and move on and be comfortable with it. I get it. But it's a stupid idea, and the story is disjointed. IGN may have thought that this haphazard approach is actually part of the book's charm, as they said, but I disagree. This book is a mess. Again, it does have some really good moments. Jason Aaron's storylines following Odinson and Jane, they're quite exciting and interesting. I can tell he likes these characters. Or at least he likes the Odinson. But it just serves to make the issue all the more frustrating. When his writing is good, it's really good. But that just makes the bad and bland parts seem even more glaringly so. The art, for the most part, is also really great. I may personally hate when they switch around so much, but again, objectively, the quality, save for one or two spots, isn't bad. Ultimately, I picked up this book because I'm desperately wanting the old Thor back. I want him to hurry up and pick up the hammer again, and I was hoping that in this issue we were going to start back on that path of redeeming the original Thor, but sadly that's not the case. Jason Aaron is a good writer, but he has a bad habit of writing stories that disappoint me. Unless you really like his work and you think I'm way off the mark, skip this book. Go read the wiki on it. There's nothing new here. But regardless, what do you guys think? Am I way off the mark? Am I too stuck in the past here? Do you think Thor is Odinson's name, or is it a mantle like Captain America or Spider-Man or Miss Marvel, something to be passed on to person after person after person? Let me know below, and thank you for watching. If you like this video, leave a like, and feel free to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you all next time.